This is Beyond the 65, brought to you by talkSPORT Ireland.
Okay, lads, here we are, about 6 months on from the plans. Conor, any pre-match, pre-show nerves?
No, all good, ready to get going.
How about you, Bubbles? That it made it out the group chat?
Yeah, I didn't think we would make it now, but we're here finally, so good to get going.
So we were chatting there a little bit about pre-show nerves. I was a little bit apprehensive. Were you ever a player nervous enough before a match?
No, never really. More excited than anything, I'd say. I used to box when I was younger, and I was often told that you either have the work done or you don't. So, in that kind of circumstance, it's you against one other lad, whereas you have a team around you. You know you have your work done, so it's more kind of excitement than nerves, really.
But how about you?
I never would have got nervous for inter-county games. You get more nervous for club games because there's probably more pressure on you. Like you're expected to try and, I suppose, run the show for your club or whatever. But county games, never get any nerves. No, it's easy. As Conor says, like you'd have the work done, and match day is probably the easiest part of the whole thing compared to anything else.
When did that pressure start for you? Was it after getting that first inter-county game under your belt at senior level?
No, I'd say it was there for a long time. You know, when you're growing up, like playing minor, under 21, you know, and then making your way onto the senior team, like the pressure is always there. But you know, the most pressure you put is on yourself. Like, you know, and the managers or the rest of your players don't put any pressure on you really at all. So I never would have found any pressure only for club games.
Were you always fancied as someone that would go on to play, you know, more than just with Killinall?
I don't know. That's a hard one to call. Yeah, I suppose I think I was vice captain for the minors, and then I was captain for the 21s and stuff. So probably would have been seen as a lad that could make the step up. I was on the panel when I was only 18, 19, but then I decided for a couple of years just to concentrate on under 21 instead of doing the senior. So that probably gave me an extra couple of years then to probably develop more to go on and play senior.
Were you, Conor? Were you fancied down in Gorey?
His debut when he was 14.
No, well, sure. Look at you kind of, as Bubble said there, you kind of put the pressure on yourself, like to get there. And it was always, even in school and the whole lot, was always number one was to go and play senior for Wexford. That was the big thing. We were, I think, junior in the club at the time, so expectations for a club were fairly low. So obviously it's got a lot better since, but no, look at you just have the pressure on yourself. You want to get to the top as soon as you can. That's what I kept thinking anyway. So yeah,
this is sort of feeling like a bit of pre-season to me, edging out, seeing how we fancy you, see if you'll be back. What were you like a pre-season? Conor's missed 2 in a row now. So, does that speak for itself?
Some might say more.
Yeah, I'd say I missed 10 in a row. Not something that you like doing. I don't know about Conor now, but pre-season was always absolutely horrendous. Like, no matter, like, it's always October, November time, like when you're going back. I know now you weren't supposed to be going back until January or whatever, but you're in the gym and running in the muck inside in pitches, and like the amount of times that there'd be lads lined up against the ditch, like getting sick after running, is like pre-season is the worst. And then if you miss it, then it's probably worse because you're coming back, then you're trying to get fit in the middle of the league or getting ready for championship. But pre-season was absolutely horrendous, and some years more than others. Like 2019 pre-season, when Liam Sheedy came back in with Carborough or Quailon, it was absolutely horrendous. Like, he came in, put his stamp on the group straight away, and just absolutely dogged us out of it for months. Like,
what were the drills? What were you doing? Was it just running?
Anything goes and everything else.
Anything goes. Like the worst one now in 2019, I actually missed the start of that pre-season as well, because I was after getting an operation on my Achilles. But I remember we were up in Abbottstown, up in the high performance centre, up in the boxing arena, and it was literally go in there. We had the Irish boxing coaches, Olympic boxing coaches in training us, and it was outside of the ring you're training, and then at the same time there's 1v1 in the ring, like, and it's just like everything goes. Like, so I could have been stepping in with Paddy Maher or anything like that. Like, it doesn't matter about height, weight class, anything like that. You're going in, and it's just, I remember coming out of it, going into the toilet, just say, just going to the toilet. I remember going in just getting sick. It was absolutely horrendous.
That's the kind of training that gets you going. We're similar enough. It's kind of what can you go to next, really, is the thing. We were the same. We had Jimmy Payne there the first year with Davy, and he used to say, I'm Jimmy Payne, Payne by name, Payne by nature. Boy, Jesus, there was some pain going around there at that time. there was bodies lying all over the place there around Ferns, and kind of Ferns was centre of excellence, was only kind of open. Everything is fresh and the pitches are fresh and all that. It wasn't long before they were now sludge and all that, and you just want out. I know I remember always talking to Liam McGovern, especially when we were with Davey at pre-season times. We used to say, get to 9 o'clock, just get to 9 o'clock. And sometimes that was nearly half time in a training session. But that's what we was we'd go in at 6:30, 7:15 and just get to 9 o'clock. No matter what the weather is, just get there. So that's kind of pre-season in a nutshell, from start to finish, really. Like.
Did you have lads who loved it though? I feel like there's always someone in the group. Like.
There's plenty. Like you'd have over half the group that would absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Like love the slog out in the pitch. But I often found the stuff inside in the gym is worse. Like I remember that one night, actually a couple of times we did it because it was so good. Like inside in the gym, you just throw one of the blue mats on the ground. One lad lies flat on his back, and the other lad just lies on top of you, and you just have to keep him pinned down. Like I remember I had Brian Hogan. He's the goalie. He was about 6'6", like 110 kg.
Yeah,
how are you supposed to get up? Yeah, just dead weight. Like, and then you have to try and keep them down as long as possible, and you have to get up. Like they're worse than going out running on the pitch. Yeah. I think like it's just mentally like think, this is going to be handy. A lad is just lying on me. I'm going to get him up. Like, but when you have the lads like Cathal Barra trying to force you down and just be pure dogs. Like loving it. Like and Paddy Maher, Bonner Maher, all these lads just loving it. It's absolutely horrendous. I prefer to be out sludging in the muck, because at least when you're doing that, if you're slow, you can blame the ground or whatever. If you're behind, it's just like, I can't go on the ground.
Let the rest do the work.
Is the first one more of like proving yourself to the lads around you as well? Is there an added incentive for some, like you both would have had some big figures in there when you were starting off?
Yeah, like sure. Look, I suppose every year you see new lads coming in, they're fresh, they're trying to make an impact. Then you see there's kind of groups, like there's the new lads, there's the lads who've been in there 4 or 5 years who mightn't be playing championship or whatever, and they're trying to make a bit of a push. And then there's the lads kind of minding themselves, waiting for league and championship and all that. So like when we first went in, you're probably trying to prove yourself. Like every night you go in and you're trying to get to the top of the run or whatever it is. Some lads are just freaks. Some lads just love it, like absolutely love it. And after a couple of years, you realise then, Jesus, the old hurling will get me by now an extra yard. Let the ball do the work kind of thing. But yeah, like sure, as I said, the groups are the lads who just absolutely love training and they might not even see as much game time, and then there's the lads in the middle who've played a little bit but want to push on, and then there's the lads who are season campaigners and they're the hamstring might get tight a little bit earlier than others, like that kind of a.
How old were you for that?
Sure, Jez, I was just 18. I've come in when I was 17, and then 18 was the first kind of full pre-season, like really with seniors. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been. I done a small bit pre-season when I was 18, but then I didn't make the panel or anything like that. I played a couple of challenge games throughout the kind of Waterford Crystal, as it was called back then. My first proper one was probably 2013, and I suppose the way you probably look at it is you might pick out 3 or 4 lads, be like, right, if I stay ahead of them, it won't be too bad. Like, there might be a group at the very back that are just plodding away. If you keep ahead of them, I mightn't be noticed or anything like. But if I'm back in that group, then you could be getting a talking to from the manager. Like, so I think 2013 was probably my first proper one. Done a bit in 2010 and 11, but it's just you just remember the nights that it's just muck everywhere and lads just fighting each other and stuff like that. Like it's tough, but then like you get the benefits then later on in the year. I suppose that's the other side of it. Is
it daunting that first time stepping in change room though at the senior level, and obviously like you're coming up with lads you're watching there for years before? Is it daunting, you looking across the room? I
didn't look at it as daunting. You probably more so the same as the start of any year. You're driving up in the car and you're like, this is going to be torture. And you always in your head make it out a lot worse than what it is. Now the sessions are really, really hard, but you're going up, you're like, this is going to be horrendous, and then you get through it, then you're like, do you know what, it wasn't too bad. And you're thinking it'll get easier, but it never actually got easier for 4 or 5 months, just like October to February. Like back then, the league started maybe the middle or end of February when I was starting, like, and it's just 4 months of just absolute dogging, like, and Like it's more daunting thinking about the sessions. When you actually get into it, then you can power through it. But more daunting going up. What are they going to have for us tonight? You know.
One thing as well, you don't realise your fitness. Like you're trying to just get through sessions. Like you're nearly wishing sessions away. Like you know what I mean. Like you don't realise you're actually getting fit or you're actually getting ready for a league or whatever it is. And I suppose the last 2 years for me, I've missed basically the bulk of the slog, and then you're wondering. You know, you spend 10 years wondering, I'd love just that winter off, like, and then you know, you're in the opposite side now and you're after getting operations or you're out injured or whatever it is, and you're like, fuck, am I in bother here now? I'm way behind, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing, well, like, there's nothing worse than pre-season. Like, it's only, I think, around 2018, 19, and the pre-season has been done outside, and they bring the WAP bike outside or they bring the spinning bike outside, and you're sitting on the spinning bike and you're watching everyone else.
Everyone has to be seen.
Getting dogged. Like, everyone has to be seen, but like, you're wishing yourself then, like, as much as you don't want to do it, you're wishing, just, I'd rather be out there
you
with
don't
them
want to be the lad on the bike.
Yeah, you don't want to be the lad on the bike. Like, we used to do it on the bike, and then we'd have Mick Classy, he was our masseur, but he was a boxing coach as well. Like, you do half an hour on the bike and then half an hour boxing with him. Like, you 100% you prefer to be on the pitch with everyone else, like going through the same as them, because when you're on your own, and Mick Classy now, he was an absolute machine of a man. Like, he just absolutely dogged you, like, you know. So you'd actually prefer to be doing it instead of not doing it.
Yeah. You feel like nearly you have to justify your training then as well. You know what I mean? The lads are coming off all mucky and all that. You're after in a WAP bike and you're after getting dogged to death, like.
And you sitting inside having your food before, and they're only walking in, like, and they're looking at you. Look at that lad. Look at that lazy. Look at that lazy yoke over there. Like, he won't do the train.
But when you're getting into the change room like that, though, when you're going in, like, you have all progressed up. You went from, you know, the young lads on the block to more senior players as well. When does that change to, Jesus, this young lad, this little bollocks could be coming in and taking my jersey? Is there always a bit of that? Was there ever that with you as young lads as well?
I suppose I was probably more older. As I said, I took kind of I took a couple of years out to play under 21, and it was just after I was finished under 21. So I was 20, 21 going in trying to make my name, like, whereas Conor was, like, made his debut when he was 17, like, so it's a bit different. He is very young, whereas at 21, like, you're not that young going in there, and I would have known 90% of the players because I was in there in 2010, 2011, stepped back in 2012, and then in 2010 there was 10 under 21s on the senior panel when they won it, and we won under 21 All Ireland that year as well, like, you know. So I would have known a lot of the players going in, like, so I wouldn't really had that kind of fear or whatever you want to call it. Like, I would have been fairly comfortable going in at that time because I would have known a lot of the players.
How about you, Conor? Would you have had heads in there who would have been judging them?
Probably the real older lads probably at the time, like, you know what I mean? I don't think they would have been judging as such, but I think for us, we had probably 10, 11 lads that were involved in, say, 321 panels that won 3 Leinsters in a row. So it was easy for lads, if you were involved in the 21 panel, to slip in with the lads that had either been there the year before or year after, you know what I mean? So that was an easy transition. And as well, we kind of felt like at times we were the ones who were winning, like Wexford hadn't won that since 2004. So we were kind of coming in, you know, a bit of a chip on our shoulders in a lot of ways as well, where, you know, we didn't know anything different bar winning or beating Kilkenny and Dublin and these teams where the older lads, you know, were struggling for a while on that, like. So that was kind of, you know, like I said, Jack O'Connor, Jack Iney was around, Gary Moore, all them lads kind of from that. Jack O'Connor was the year after, and then it was myself, Kevin Foley, Liam Ryan, Simon Donoghue, all these lads, Conor Devitt, you know. So it was easy to just, a lot of them lads were on the 3 years, like, do you know what I mean? So it was easy to kind of slip in with them lads and just continue as you were with under 21, because we were hoping to get on that trajectory basically to senior, really.
When was the first time the two of you encountered each other? Do you remember it?
I remember it, yeah. 14, I think, 2014, we played, I think we opened a pitch down in Wexford against Wexford, and I wasn't playing now. I probably I don't know, I could have been injured, I suppose. It was pre-season.
We were getting ready for
championship. middle of January or something like that, and we played Wexford, and it was lashing down. And now I can't remember who won the match right now. I remember a young lad, full forward, taking the frees and everything. I was like, who's this lad? And it ended up being Conor. You know, first I ever seen him. And I would have followed a lot of hurling, like, and I never seen him play minor or anything like that, but he was only 18 that day. And I can't remember 2014, I can't remember who was full back. Could have been probably a bit early for James Barry as well now at that time of year. So I'm trying to think, could have been Paddy Maher, maybe full back even. And Conor went to town that day. I think he actually beat was handy enough.
I think we won in the end. Yeah, I remember it. But the biggest thing I remember was I was getting a clout straight away after getting a goal. The next ball came in, Paddy Murray. That's what I know it was him. I wasn't sure to show me who was the bear in the square that day. But yeah, no, my we only spoke about it there earlier. Sure, the 14 was the first where I was going up to All Irelands. Do you know what I mean? Still chap, like, basically going up first year of college, Saturday night up. You know, make sure we get the Saturday session in before the big day on the All Ireland Sunday. We'd been beaten in a quarter final that year, and we're kind of on a bit of a roll, so everyone's on a bit of a buzz. But a friend of mine's big tip man, Clonalty Rossmore, and he was, we have to go up on the Saturday, we have to go out to the sevens, we have to do the whole lot, you know, do the full hog. Yeah. So, and sure, that was the infamous free then in 14. I think I jumped up and well, sure, listen, it was against Kilkenny, so I definitely jumped up. But yeah, sure, look, we've obviously played each other since, and to and from Crow Park and all that.
I don't think we played that much though, like in league.
We didn't really play Tipperary in general, like a lot.
Not that much. And then I didn't actually. One of my friend's father asked me there a couple of weeks ago, like, how many league games did you play? Because mate of mine, Jimmy Feen, made his 100 appearance for Tip there during the league. And he asked me, how many league appearances? I said, jeez, I haven't a clue.
Yeah, it's hard to get. It's hard to know.
Yeah, it is. But I think we played Wexford very little, and obviously we played them in 2019 in that All Ireland semi final. But other than that, I don't think we ever played Union Championship.
No, never. That was the only time.
The first, I'd say, in the 10 years or whatever, 12 years.
Is that one of your favourite games? That 2019.
Jeez, Luke.
I didn't mean to bring up that early, Conor.
The Wexford game.
2019. Because when I think of the two of you together, you both had cracking games. Did you get 2-1? Did you get 3 or 4 points?
I got took off though.
Yeah.
I got taken off, and I wasn't happy about being taken off. But then Owen Kelly come up to you straight away, and when Owen Kelly comes up and talks to you, you kind of have to change your mindset. He was like, "This looks like it's going to go to extra time here." So you could be needed again to go straight back on for the start of extra time. So mindset changed straight away. But then I think Jake came on and replaced me with, I think it was only about 3 minutes to go, and I wasn't happy about coming off. But look, we got over the line.
Were you a bad sub? Did you hate you hate being a sub? Or do you all hate being a sub?
Oh, yeah.
Despise it, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I wasn't
despise it.
like, you wouldn't have been a sub that often either, like, but
no, first time is 2023, I think. Yeah, that was the only time. That was the only time really I was, you know, named as a sub, like, and it was nearly 10 or 11 years into it, and you're kind of thinking, like, you practice what you preach here now. We're going around to lads for 10 years saying, you know, keep your head on your shoulders, you're needed, and then but
it's very easy to say it when you're starting there.
The
table's turned.
Do you know what I mean? But on the Tuesday night then before, and you're told, you're like, see, I didn't know how to react, you know what I mean? But
2016 I got sent off in the Munster semi-final, missed the Munster final, and then I was a sub for the All Ireland semi. Didn't take that too well. Probably deserved not to play, though, to be fair, because Niall O'Mara, who replaced me, like, had a great game in the Munster final, and he started the semi, and then I ended up starting the final. So, but other than that, I don't think I was.
What isn't
much.
Taking it too well? Is it, you know, getting you up and not talking, or can you give a bit? Like, do you give a bit back to the manager? Can you say, I think that's a lot of bollocks?
Oh, yeah, you can say to him, like, that you don't agree with it or whatever, but you just have to take it on the chin. Like, you're not going to be happy, you know, when you're by yourself, but like when you're in the team group, like, you have to be positive, like, even though you know that you're not, like, and then after you go out the dressing room, then if there's another lad then that's fairly disappointed that he's a sub, then as well, the two you can go off and have a good old
go be toxic there for a while.
go out and be mouthing about the manager or whatever for 10 minutes. But it's you just, but the other side, if you took it well, like, if you were happy, I'm not playing, sure, I don't really care, what's the point in being there, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, if there's a lad there and he knows he hasn't a chance of playing and he's happy not to be playing, like, what are you doing there? Like, let someone else that's going to try and push on to try and make the team or whatever. Like, but I never took it well. Like, I hated it. Like,
despise it. Yeah, absolutely.
Would you see much bust ups from that sort of stuff between players, management, or you see in lads' body language, like, you know, as you said there, you'll see lads who are happy enough to be in a 26, and then lads who are happy enough to, do you know what I mean? In general, like, there'll be some lads absolutely distraught that they're not playing, and that might have been on the back of their league campaign. They might have played well in the league. Do you know what I mean? Or again, there'll be lads who've been playing for 8 or 9 years and they're just not on it. Like, you know, I suppose the big thing is
is the explanation you're giving as well. Like, do you know what I mean? You could be throwing out absolute horse shit there for you know, for an excuse of why you're not playing and you don't agree with it. That makes it an awful lot harder.
What's the worst one you got?
Jesus,
Not training well.
not training.
You
well.
didn't get a good pre-season.
Yeah. That can be it. Like, and then you're wondering, like, what about the other lads? Like, do you know what I mean? Who are, you know, playing. But anyway, look at you just have to roll with it. You have to roll with it, and you know, you're generally told earlier enough in the week, especially if you've been playing for the last number of years, to kind of get told early doors. Really.
Well, yeah, depends on when. Like I suppose back then, or even 2019, that like you had a maybe 2 week gap between most matches and stuff. And then the All Ireland series, like there was a 2 week gap. All Ireland finals, there used to be 3 or even 4 week gaps.
Yeah.
Like, and you know the Saturday before a match whether you're playing or not, because there's an A versus B game. And
if you're not in, you're not in.
If you're not on that A team on the Saturday, there's a very high chance, I'd say 99% that you're not going to be playing. Like, and I only see it happen once to a player with Tip in 2019, that he was on the A team before the first round of the championship and he didn't play the first round.
Are they weird games as well?
No,
They're hectic.
they'd be absolute. Like, it's funny. Like some players be going out, like, and the B team would quite regularly win.
Yeah.
In our situation, like, and you'd have a lad, say corner forward marking the corner back, and he could end up scoring 3-5. And the corner back come off, and like, sure, I know I'll be grand next week. Like, do you know this kind of thing? Like, it's just. Like the corner forward's trying to prove something. Cornerback doesn't really have to prove anything. Like,
Are they
you know,
intense?
this kind of thing.
Would they be like?
Oh,
Would
they
they
would
be
be,
nearly
yeah.
as hard?
Yeah,
as
there's
a,
times there as well, like particularly when there was a bigger gap. Like you might play one week and then the following Saturday you could play again. And if the B team win, you know what I mean, there's carnage then. Like, you know what I mean, it could be a big upset, like say, and then as you said there, the cornerback then is take his life then the next time. Do you know?
Well, that's what happens. Like if you get taken, like Annie's, or if a back is going well and the forward isn't going well, like, the forward could just turn around, like, and just open them as well at the same time. Like, you know, these I remember back in 2010, 11, 12, like there was A versus B games but our under-21s used to play the seniors quite regularly. Like, and then games used to be absolutely manic. I remember our under-21 team in 2010, like we bet the living shite out of the seniors. Like, now we had 10 lads that were on the senior panel, you know, like, and I think 6 started in the All-Ireland final that year, you know, so we had a right good team, like, but you could see, like, they'd be warring it, like, they'd be absolutely
blown up early and all that, like,
they would, and rows, like, they'd be like fighting that used to go on in these games, like,
it's nearly your one chance, like, you know, if you've had it out for a lad there in a drill or something for a year, it's your one chance, like, it is, like.
Pre-season games are
leave it in on a lad there.
The pre-season games are probably worse, like, because, you know, it's muck, there's muck everywhere and it's hard to play, and it's literally just fighting each other, like, you know, especially if you're corner forward or full forward, like, it's like the full back or the corner back just wants to stop you from getting the ball, and it's just pulling and tearing. Just like Owen Kelly was great, like, in pre-season. I used to love playing with Owen in pre-season games. If there was any sort of a ruck, he used to stamping the ball into the ground. Like, the pitch is so soft, he used to stamp it into the ground. The ball would go down. All you'd see is literally maybe a half an inch at the top of the ball, and he'd just go around and start rooting lads into the stomach, like, and like, come on, no one can move the ball because it's stuck in the ground. Like, you know, these kind of games, like, and it just
one's going to win,
and that turns to rows, like, you know. So, like, I thought they'd be dangerous enough, some of them. Yeah.
Did the rows ever come from club rivalry? Would there be lads that you'd see now in the club championship that you wouldn't be fond of, and then next thing you're there sharing a change room for county? Like it must be a thing, especially in competitive county championships like Wexford and Tip.
Yeah, there would. Yeah, like, the players would probably say that it's not stemming from anything, like, but if something small happens and then, like, something happened in a club game, you're going to hold that, and I'm going to get my chance to get this, like, kind of a thing, like, you know, that does go on, like, like, if you don't have that, then, like, you know, I think Galway is probably the most common one. Like, Galway Club Championship is tough, like, you know, and you used to hear, like, that when they come together to the county team, they don't see eye to eye, like, but then, you know, they did then, they went on and won All Ireland. Like, I think Galway is probably the worst. Tip happens a small bit. I presume it happens in every county, like, but, you know, that comes hand in hand with it, like. Yeah,
it's always, again, if there's a couple of lads from one club in, do you know what I mean? If it's for 4 or 5 lads from one club in and 4 or 5 from the other club, and there's that rivalry then in general, sure, there'd be always a little bit of sneering and stuff like that going on. But sure, look, again, you get your chance. You might only get one in the year, and it could be in a AVB or whatever it is. And sure, if lads niggling at you there, then you normally niggling at you in the club game championship, you're not going to get sent off doing that. Like, you know what I mean? You've one chance to maybe get nick on a lad or whatever. And I'm sure they're trying to do the same to the forwards or backs, whatever.
But that gelling as well. I feel like you always hear, you know, your Scholes, Gerrard Lampard era, and you know your United lads be at one table, your Liverpool, your Chelsea be at the other. Was that a case that came to you as well, or is that something that's stomped out at the door? Like you're all sitting together, you're not in your own little groups.
No, I found the complete opposite. Like even when we go away at training camps and all that, I actually found I wouldn't even talk to the club lads or the lads. There'd be normally 3, 4, 5 lads from my club that would be going down. You know, we always everyone used to say they adopted Conor David, so he was from just outside Gorey, so he'd just travel with us. But there'd be always nearly a full car going down. But you go to a training camp, it's something you mightn't even see him. No. You might arrive up to the training camp and then you just drive home, like, but you wouldn't see him. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's a weird one actually.
No, it's not. It never happened with us anyway. Like there's never. Like, it's not that it's stamped out at the door at, and I don't think it comes into it. You just go in and everyone just has the crack. Like no, you get some. Like obviously there's going to be lads that are better friends like than others and stuff like that, but I never saw a situation where there were certain groups kind of developing or lads staying with their own club mates and stuff like that. It's different. It's probably different for professional athletes because it's their job. Like whereas, you know, like I would have went to school with a lot of the lads, like, and you know I would have went out on nights out with a lot of the lads. Like it's not a thing where you're just with your club lads all the time. Like in school. Like I wouldn't have talked to many of the club lads either. Like I would have had friends from Gortnahoe and Mullinahone and Ballingarry, like clubs that are just 10 kilometres away. Like you know, so it was never an issue, anything like that.
Going back to them AVB games, management must like that though as well. If it's such a common thing to do, and like that ferocity between you, that rivalry between you, do you think management like that? Like seeing the lads leaving in sometimes, seeing they care, is that?
Well, sure. Well, if anything, they can see exactly what they have. Do you know what I mean? If 30 lads there going hammer and tongs, like literally from start to finish, so they can see what they have. You can see who's showing up well, who wants to actually fight for a jersey. But yeah, like sure, of course they do. Like they're watching all of their players in front of them are who they can pick from. Do you know? It'd be worse if there was tame games all the time. Like, do you know what I mean? That then you're in bother, like basically. So yeah, I'm sure they absolutely love it. Like.
Yeah, they probably look at it as like, right, I want to see now is Conor going to be up to it? I'm going to put him in centre forward and Martin Paddy Maher, Rona Maher or whatever, like, you know, test him against one of the best or the top player, whatever it may be, like, and if he comes through it, great, he's a viable option. If he doesn't,
exactly.
Maybe he's not, like, you know. So like it's very easy to say it's an A versus B game, but then it's also testing, like, you know, you have your starting 15 or your 18 players that might see championship time, like, but then like you're trying to find that other 5 or 6 that could push that then as well.
Yeah,
like, you know?
That's what it is. We had Sam in 2017. I remember it was a Rory O'Connor come up with a minor and he just went to town on Matt Joanna. Now Matt is a dog, like he will just go to the ends of the earth in every training session, everything unbelievable, like. And I remember Rory just come in and just nonchalant, just seemed to be getting on every single ball, like, and just went to town in this game. And all of a sudden we were going into a quarter final and we're like, Rory's in now, like, do you know what I mean? Like this, you know, if you ever do that on Matt, like, you know, as you were saying earlier, some lads might, you know, Matt would be on the team sheet every single day, do you know, because what he does in championship and all that, and what he's always done. But like, we knew that that's Matt going full throttle in an AVB, like, you know, so he was going to town, like, and we were like, Jesus, here we go now, like, here's another option, like,
yeah, it's the same. Like, we would have had like Ronan Maher, Paddy Maher, Bonner Maher, like all these lads, like every training session, like, is their last training session. Like, that's the way they used to do it. And every match, like, that they play is their last game. Like, and they used, like Paddy and Ronan, like, are massive, huge men, like, and they're strong. Like, but like Ronan was just different gravy, like, when he was coming through, like, and he's training. He was so aggressive, like, on everything, like any sort of a drill you do, everything and anything, like. And when it comes to an A versus B game, then there's a lad looking to step up. Like, right, go in there now. You're centre forward, Mark and Ronan centre back. Like, if you come through this with 40%, you know, you might be an option, like, because Ronan, like, these lads, like, they go for everything, like, and then you have lads then like myself, I suppose, just trying arsing around most of the time, like, you know. So like Cathal Barrett, another one, like Cathal, like, he was always guaranteed to be playing, like, but then you go into an A versus B game, he's on the A team, like, you know, like Jake Morris, whatever, when he was coming through, go and absolutely roast him. Then Cathal would come off, then sure, that's on a Saturday, the Tuesday night, then another bit of a game, Jake wouldn't get a sniff, you know, this kind of a way, like, you know. So everyone is different. Like, you'd have a lot of lads that will be, every game is going hell for leather, 110%, and then you have other lads then, right, I'll turn it on now because I need to, because the management are watching me or whatever.
Do you ever get them times though where you'd be nearly surprised with selection? Is there ever something like, Jesus, what's he doing that week that really took everyone by surprise? Do you get that as well?
Not really.
Kind of know, like you'd know going training, and like you'd
there
have
might
a
be one or two that'd be thrown in, but very like more often than not, like you'd know the week before because of the A versus B, and because championship is so tight now and it's week on week, like it's very hard to change it up now anyway. But like you'd know well in advance, like for yourself, but then there might be one or two that'd be thrown in. But other than that, like it's very, very small.
Especially
margins,
now as well. Like if you go to town after coming on at half an hour, or even you come in early doors second half, you might start the next day. Like you only might,
Yeah.
They might always, or more often than not, they actually give the benefit of the doubt to the lad who maybe mightn't win well for the first half, or who started the first round. But no, it's getting harder and harder because the season's so tight. Like
unless you take a big hammering. Like there's going to be minimal changes in championship nowadays. Like whereas back when I was playing from whatever 13 to 22 or 23, whatever, like there was more time for lads to be like, right, just this lad is after going bad. Let's give him 2 weeks to see how he performs in training. Now it's like, right, we'll go out. We're after losing now by 10 points. I'm going to have to make changes here. Like, that's the only way you're going to see changes. Whereas if a lad is going anyway, okay, like if he's playing at 70 or 75 or 80%. He's going to be given the benefit of the doubt to stay playing the week after, like, and your man in training then is going to have to burn it up completely, like, to have any chance of playing, like,
Would you fancy the management yourself? You're doing a bit back home, are you?
I'm doing a bit of coaching, alright, but managing now is it's different altogether. I'm only doing a small bit, but
could you see yourself in the future though, down the line? I know it's such a big commitment, but do you think you'd back yourself to do it?
I don't know. I enjoy the coaching, managing. I probably would do it. All depends on
few bob.
all depends on how much money you're getting. No, sorry, managers don't get paid. But yeah, it's a hard one. Like the amount of time that goes into, like it's every day. Like you see any man, and especially inter-county now. See any inter-county manager now. Like the amount of time that goes into it, the amount of effort and meeting people and going to training and setting up stuff, like it's absolutely crazy. Like club is beginning to get like that now as well. Like club is no longer 2 or 3 nights a week. Like it's 5-6 night a week job. Like, but I'd enjoy the coaching now. Management mightn't be for me.
How about you, Conor, down the line? Could you see yourself do it?
I don't know. I see now our club manager at home, like, and it's probably where Intercounty was maybe 6-7 years ago. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's only it is.
It is. You're talking GPSs. Just looking at WhatsApp groups there, the lads on GPS there of last night, a red session, this kind of crack. You'd never hear that, and like, you know what I mean? If you were saying that to the club lads 3 years ago, they'd be, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, red session. Like every session's a red session.
What is a red?
For some club lads,
what is a red session?
Actually, you're probably looking at 7 to 10k, like 7.5 to 10k, like depending again pre-season kind of stuff, and then you have your orange session 5 to 7k, and then your green is handy enough. That's your Thursday night before championship job,
right?
Your red sessions are
they're like the pre-season we're talking about earlier. You see that on the thing.
Over 9k is a red session.
Yeah, right.
I would say
and
but
it's like 9k tackling and
everything,
running and
not at a conversational pace.
That's the distance you cover, but then they're looking at like
hits and
high intensity running, high intensity distance, all this sort of stuff. But like in 2014, 15 and all that, like that was absolute like gibberish to us, like. And now club teams are doing it, like. Like you're talking 10 years later, and you have club teams forking out, what is it, 7,000-8,000 euro for these units, like, like it's crazy, like, and that comes then more pressure to a manager and a coach, like, because everything is tracked.
That's where I see the enjoyment. Like I see our club manager at home, and like, and he's every day it's relentless in a WhatsApp group, like managing, like actually managing people, micromanaging every single player, like, to get the best out of them. Grand, we're competitive in Wexford, like, but and we've won a couple of championships, but geez, like it's huge pressure, like it is, like, and if you're not doing that, like you nearly feel like you're behind. And then there's such a vast, we have 4 or 5 lads involved in the county panel, and then we've lads with trackers there that would have been considered junior hurlers, say. Do you know what I mean? Like 5-6 years ago, and they'd be like, what is it? So I don't know whether I'd like to get into it. I'd like to get in, maybe involved in some way, but there's a lot of kind of, you spend 12, 13 years in high pressure and a tracker on your back, and now you don't want a tracker on your back, and now you're asking other lads to put a tracker on their back. So
where's that coming from? That new increase and that new pressure on at club level?
Trying to win. It's just it's all about winning. Like you look at the hurling for the last 7 years. Like Limerick have brought everything to a new level. Like, and everyone else is behind. Everyone else is behind the 8 ball, then trying to follow Limerick. Like, but in the club, then like in Tip, like it's your Thurles Sarsfields, your Lockmoors, and your Kildangan. Like everyone's trying to catch them, and like the more apparently the more this stuff you have, the more chance you have of winning the championship. Like last year for our club, now we had the trackers, and it was the worst year we've had in about 8 years. Like, and like sometimes sometimes it's good to look at this stuff. Then other times, then like people are worried about the tracker on their back instead of actually worrying about the game and stuff. But it's just trying to gain, like, it's something that'll be said in count, like, trying to gain that 1%, like, and that's what it is. And having these trackers is right. I can like I did a session last night with the club, and we only covered 6k. That wasn't tough enough. Now Thursday night, now we need to do 10. Do you know, this kind of stuff, like, and
there's a time and a place for it too. I think, like, you have your pre-season kind of thing, and grand, you can kind of monitor then a little bit better. But when you're coming into championship hurling, like, I've heard of teams like, and they're taking lads off 45 minutes in because they're in the red and they've covered so many. Like, there's a lad in my club, and he'll laugh at me now when he hears this, but he knows well who he is. But like, he go training and he do 8 or 9k, right? And he'd probably get sick 4 times in any session whatsoever, and then he'd do 10k in a match, midfielder, no bother him. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and that's where, like, a tracker doesn't manage where you're at, like. But if they were to manage that by the tracker, they'd have taken him off after 40 minutes every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As Conor O'Mahony said to me back in 2014, the tracker doesn't know how many times they put the ball over the bar.
No, that's the truth.
And I like, All-Ireland final in 14, like, we had trackers. I didn't wear it for the All-Ireland final, didn't wear it in 16, didn't wear it in 19. They're not going to bring the numbers to you on the Tuesday night when you go back into training, because you're not going to train.
Yeah.
Do you know? So, like, that's just something small, like, but, like, do you want me, or do you want Conor to run 10k, or do you want Conor to score 2-4? Do you know? And, like, there is a place for the trackers, but, like, I'd rather go out and have my full forward or corner forward or centre forward, whatever, scoring 1-6 than tracking a lad running around doing 12k.
Is it taking away a bit of the fun of that, like the fun side of it, or I suppose winning at all costs is something, but like, it's changing the game though for new generation?
I think it's changing. I think for forwards in particular, like, it's changing massively. Like, if you're a back, you have to just follow the forward. Like, do you know what I mean? Generally, like, that's what you're doing. Now, I know a lot of backs are scoring more now and they're moving a lot more than what they used to be. But, like, I think for forwards, I think it's making everything so rigid for forwards, whether it's defensive play, puck out setups, all that stuff. They kind of off the cuff stuff, like, you see even Bubbles there, like, whoever, this whole kind of rigid atmosphere always in the forwards, it just seems that's the way it's gone, like, do you know what I mean? And these high speed meters and all this kind of crack. Look at, I'll never blow up the tracker, I know that for sure. I never will, not at this stage anyway. But, like, it's kind of that off. Like, in 2014 we wouldn't have had any trackers, and then this time last year I was nearly fighting with one of our lads who does the stats and all that kind of crack, has the iPad there because the pouch wasn't, there was a hole in the pouch and he wanted to put me on a bra. I said, I'm not fucking wearing a bra. They have a championship game, like, just so you can get your data, like, do you know? So it's just, for forwards in particular, I think it's very, very rigid. Even where you're shooting from, there's lads giving out where you're shooting from, like I would back myself to score from the 14 on the corner, just no more than yourself, because I know I can do it, like, do you know what I mean? And where they say it's a 40% chance of scoring, you think in your head it's an 80%. Do you know what I mean?
90.
Like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of gone out of the game. Like, you see lads turning out now, giving the hand pass or looking for that, and you'd wonder how many shots more. Then on the other side, they're wondering how many more shots can we get off. Well, do you know what I mean? If you're turning around in the 14 because it's a non-shooting zone, do you know, it's all these kind of stats and
it's all percentages now. Like,
yeah,
it's all percentage. Now there is a place for the GPS units. Like, for me, like, I think in pre-season and all that, and for the league, like, it's great because you can see where your fitness levels are at. Like, But I think come championship then, I don't think there's any need for it, because if you're playing a championship game and you need a GPS unit on your back to tell you how fit you are, you're not fit enough.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And now, as I said, like there is a place for him, but come championship, I know they want to cover or to check so that you're not overtrained in on the Tuesday or the Thursday after or whatever, but like just let the lads go out and hurl. Like it's just become a professional. It's a professional sport, like really, but played by amateur players, and it's probably getting more and more like football every year. Like
that's what I was going to say. Like we've seen the big changes from the football this year and the drastic rule changes. I know you don't want to change, the quickest game in the world and the best game in the world, but do you think there is rule changes that you can implement that would help, or is it different for hurling than football like that?
I don't think so. It's just the way teams are playing. Like Limerick, after changing the way hurling is played in the last 6 or 7 years, Cork last year and now Cork this year looks like are going to change it again back to a more Tipperary Kilkenny kind of tradition, 2008 to 2014. So like it's going to keep evolving. Like, but it all again, it just goes back to every manager trying to set up your team for the best way to allow you to win. And if the CCC or whatever they're called come in and trying to start make rule changes to hurling, I think will only make the game worse, because like you still have to have that off the cuff stuff and whatnot, like, but I don't think there's any rule changes that I'd see to be made at the minute.
Well, there's nothing happening consistently that you're like, that's really annoying you, like, do you know what I mean? It's
head challenges at the minute is probably
that's
probably the only one that
grey area.
and it's
a
grey
grey area.
Yeah, it's grey, but at the same
problem.
time, like, there's maybe, I don't know, 5 out of 10 where you'd be like, look, he just mistimed. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I don't know, does there have to be a big drastic change then straight red every time? It's to interpretation, really. Like, you go to the Munster Championship now in the first game, and what might have been a red card in the second round of the league, you could take someone's head off there in the Munster Championship.
It's ref differently in the times of the year, like, but
and provincially, would you say as well? Is it?
No.
Like, we always found, like, you'd always find that, like, Munster looks to be like a lot more free flowing and kind of, I suppose, more high scoring. Sure, statistically, it is that, like, whereas just like we find, like, it's unbelievably, like, physical and, like, athletic, and maybe again that's teams in Leinster are adapting to how to play the Munster teams later in the year and stuff like that. Like, when we played G in 19, like, we would have thought that we can implement our game in a big massive running game and all that. But again, like, I don't think there's that many things that are happening so often that you're like, geez, this is an issue, like,
No.
We leave 19 for next episode. Keep
Well, no, we can talk about it now, like, we wouldn't, so I don't mind talking about it.
Jesus,
I say we'll tease today for another week there. Lads, first episode done. Thanks for joining.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a million.